Alright, hello everyone. It's been a while since I've done a stream, so this is a mic check. How is my audio coming through? If you can hear me alright. Oh, loud and clear from Jovian Uprising, thanks very much. Alright, everyone's here. Welcome. I think this is going to be a pretty fun stream. Fair bit of physics work. Should be a mix of programming, artwork, 3D modeling, and putting it all together in the game. So welcome, and I think I'll just wait a minute because I started a minute early, but I'll get right into it after that. Welcome to everyone joining for the first time. These streams can go on a little bit long. Usually I try to keep it to 2 to 3 hours. It depends though. Sometimes I drag them out longer than that. We'll see. I do have to be somewhere at noon, so that's a hard it's a hard limit. It definitely won't be able to be more than like 4.5 hours. So okay, so the good news is the new plane, which is called VTOL Trainer 1, is in game. The bad news is it's only using the collision mesh for visuals right now, so it looks very low poly, and it doesn't have any VTOL capability yet. So I'm just going to remind myself of how it's flying, because I did work on this a fair bit yesterday, but just woke up and logged on. There it is. Just a placeholder designation for VTOL trainer. But as you can see, very simple right now. It just has 2 weapon stations currently while I'm working on it. And I'm going to be probably adding some more today, I think. I won't be showing the cargo plane concept today, but I'll show it closer. I'll probably show it right before the release of this plane. Yeah, it's not very easy on the eyes right now. So this shape is what the physics sees pretty much. So when you fire bullets at it, these are the shapes that the bullets collide with, or if it touches the ground, or yeah. Yes, it's an aggressively peeled plane, like a potato. All right, let's give it a performance test. So this should be quite quick off the line, because well, A, because it doesn't have all its weapons yet, so it's a bit lighter than it should be, I think. And B, it has a lot of thrust because it needs to be short takeoff, vertical landing capable. It has, I think, a little over 3 tons of fuel, and it does not have an internal cannon. It will have a 20mm rotary gun pod mountable onto the fuselage. So I've got an 8G limiter on it right now, which seems okay to me. Energy retention is decent. It will gradually lose speed at max turn, but yeah, doesn't feel sluggish to me. And the roll rate is very nice. So I think I'm pretty happy with how it's flying. So I'll just take this for a low flight over over to Dust Bowl. Might blow something up. I think the fuel truck is the only vehicle over there in free flight, and then I'll go and land at K92 highway strip. Yep, it has both internal ECM and a radar in the nose, although the radar will probably not be quite as powerful as the other fighters, because it's a pretty small nose cone and it's a light aircraft. Yeah, the modded aircraft seem pretty cool. We try to make the community and the project friendly towards modders, so I'm happy to see them doing what they do. So yeah, don't worry about that gun pod. That's just the 20mm gun pod from the Cricket and the Compass. I've just put it there because it fits right now. It'll get a custom one designed for its shape. I wouldn't say that it's not ready to compare toe to toe with the Compass. I just started putting this in the game yesterday, so a lot of work to do before we can start evaluating that. But as far as like design objectives go, it should be more capable in air-to-air than the Compass, and a little bit less in air-to-ground, so it won't have quite as many air-to-ground wing pylon options.
Any official dev stance on the prospects of Light Scout / attack helicopter? I know you've seen all the memes.
Thank you for the subscription, Judo Joker. Yeah, good question. We've put up polls on a light scout or light attack helicopter, and we've got some other aircraft that seem to be more or higher priority first. It'd be interesting for sure, and I think that more helicopters would be fun now that the physics supports helicopters quite well. But I think that light scout helicopter would be difficult to make relevant. I mean, the Chicane is a heavy attack helicopter, and it's difficult enough to make that relevant in like a full-fledged escalation mode. Alright, so currently we don't have air brakes, we don't have any VTOL features, so landing speed is going to be kind of high. This thing only has like 9.8 meter wingspan, so pretty high wing loading, and I think landing speed is going to be around 260 kilometers an hour, even with low fuel. And we're going to get the rearm. There we go. Rearmed for $1,470. Not bad for destroying a $400,000 fuel truck. Yeah, it does actually have a faster landing speed than the Alcyon, but I mean, on the other hand, it has about like less than a third of the wingspan, so it kind of makes some sense. All right, so next objective is going to be I've seen yeah, it's going to be implementing a VTOL system. I've seen that question a couple of times now about chicane stud pylons, and the answer is we can't do that right now because the chicane is not designed without pylons. Like there's holes in the model, and also we don't actually have a way to make so that like the wings are mounting points for multiple hard points. So we don't actually support that right now. We only support removing pylons when there's a single option on the end of it. Okay, so these collision shapes here are for the intakes, and also they kind of encompass this area which is the swiveling ducts behind them. And I'll show you what that looks like. So we've got intakes here, and then there's a cutout for the forward, like the cold air swivel ducts. And then these are important for creating the forward part of vertical lift. And then we've got this this rotating nozzle, or like pivoting nozzle at the back, which creates vertical lift for the rear. So I think it should be possible to no, the front nozzles are okay because these are cold air nozzles. They're not post engine, like they basically just use the compressor to divert air. Yeah, like bleed air from the engines. And the majority of the thrust is going to be coming from the rear nozzle here. It's not bad at ground attack, it just doesn't quite have the same wing real estate as the Compass does to carry like 12 or, no, what is it? 3? Yeah, 12 AGM 48s. I don't do internals until later in the design process. It's the second last thing before cockpit. Alright, so the first thing I need to do is going to be making some low poly models. Low poly as in visually nice. I mean, the collision mesh is low poly as well, but this is a different level. This is extreme low poly. So in order to implement the swivel ducts, I need to actually I need to export the low poly version of the fuselage. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so where is the split going to be? First of all, I'm going to make a new export collection called low poly. Low poly just means it means like it's at a detail level that's suitable for games. So when I design the when I do the design, I actually use subdivision. So without subdivision, it looks like this. And then I can add as many levels to this. I can add as much smoothness to this as I want. So this is very like, this is 4 levels or 5 levels right now. So that's 0 levels, 1 level, 2 level. So I've been designing it with 2 levels of subdivision, but I might have to go in and remove some detail because that's gonna make it pretty yeah, a bit too much geometry. I think I like to keep the models under 100,000 polygons. And we don't use LODs except for switching to. We switch like at several hundred meters away. We switch to this. We switch to using the collision mesh for the visuals at a distance where it's hopefully indistinguishable from a silhouette. That's usually fine for a flight simulator because you're unlikely to get a lot of planes all in the same spot. Alright, so we're going to do, I think I usually call this visible. So I've just moved my high poly over to visible. Here we go. And now I'm going to convert this to, convert it to mesh. And now we can see all the detail that it has. And before anything else, I'm just going to delete one side of it. And reapply the mirror. We don't want to be having to do stuff twice. Okay, now this has 17,000 polygons, which is quite a lot. I'm just going to look for the ones that we can delete safely. And especially focusing around the fuselage because that's where I'm starting work today. So I might delete every second edge loop around this area in the longitudinal direction. Oops, don't randomize, dissolve. There we go. So that's a good way of getting rid of some. I think the nose probably has a bit more than it needs. Dissolve those. So we're down to 15,000 triangles already, down from 17. I'm wondering now whether I should have started with one level of subdivision instead of two. Let me just go back and check what that looks like. Definitely is noticeably better with two. Yeah. But perhaps I can, I'll move this to visible. Perhaps I can just select some parts for one level and some parts for two levels. So for example, the nose probably only needs one level. Okay, down to 14,000 triangles now. I want to get this down below 10. Now this is a real waste here. Oh, and this, yeah, okay. So some of these things are very easy to optimize because subdivision does that. It'll just like it'll put in extra geometry even where it's not needed. So this stall fence here needs to merge nicely with the wing, and it doesn't right now. It just clips into it. Just a reminder to myself as well that I'm doing this so that I can get the nozzles, like the swivel ducts and stuff. I can put them in game in a high detail way, so I can start working on the VTOL system. So I think we delete faces like that, and then just need to bring the stall fence flush with the wing. And where it goes inside, we can just delete that too. That'll be an interior face. And then this edge loop, I think, can go away. And everything behind this point where the stall fence goes inside the wing, I'll just delete that too. Well, thank you for the subscription, Luke. Luke is awesome. Okay. I probably really shouldn't be putting so much time into this right now because I don't need to have the wings looking pretty to get the VTOL system working, but this was just bothering me so much I had to fix it. Okay. Oh, no, there's still something off over here. Right, so that's one side of the stall fence. I'll just make sure that it's all perfectly in line, and then I can merge it, mark sharp and seam, and fill it like that. And that's actually brought us down to 13,000 polygons already. 13,000 triangles. Lovely. This stuff here I think is unnecessary. I'll dissolve those edges. Why am I red? I don't know. Is it because I'm looking at something red on the screen? Oh yeah, the screen's reflecting red on me. Yep. try dissolving that one. And that one. Okay, we're down to 12,000 triangles, almost there. Almost at an acceptable amount. Oh, I see some that should be easy to dissolve. These are completely redundant, these ones in here. Although we might, I don't know. No, that's fine. Fine by me. Now, I want to keep this stuff up here. So I'll just dissolve the edge loops that are inside the nozzle housing. So these ones. Oh. There we go. There's a lot of geometry inside here. So I'm going to select linked flat faces and delete them. And I'll just refill them. Okay, lots of stuff going on back here. That's not necessary. Probably these two are redundant. I think that every second one of these... do I want to do it that way? Maybe like that instead. Yeah, you want to keep the edge loops that are close to corners because they act as nice shading control. Okay, down to 11,000 triangles. Getting close. Dissolve. So next to each other, dissolve edges and randomize. One of them makes it look pretty, the other one makes it look horrible. So go randomize. Don't press that one. Dissolve. There is a bird in the back, yes. And there's some parrots upstairs, and hopefully they don't make too much noise. If they do, I will put them in a room by themselves. Okay, down to 11.5. I haven't really looked at this stuff here yet, but there's probably only so many things we can do. Although on the inside, that can probably all go away. Yep. It seems like we're using a bit too much geometry here. So I'll get rid of that. Maybe I'll keep this at the edge here because it's useful for defining the circle. Oh, I've got alarms going off. Yep, that's for APU at the back. And unfortunately, I've kind of ruined the shape of this a little bit. I might just have to manually restore an edge loop that I removed. The exhausts are mighty close to the intakes. I'm not sure which one you are talking about. It's just a bleed air nozzle, so the intakes have a bit of a like an S duct shape to them. So the bleed air nozzles are a good half meter behind the front of the engine. Let's dissolve that one. We're almost down to 10,000. Very close. I wonder if this one can be safely removed. Let's see. Dissolve. I think that looks fine. And that brings us down into the 10,000s. So I'll just get rid of these ones. 10.7. This looks all a bit redundant here, so I might just collapse those individual origins and then merge them by distance. What am I most proud of in this design so far? I don't really know. It's I think probably the rear nozzle is interesting. I haven't really seen this used in any aircraft before, and I know that it's plausible because there's a patent drawing for it. That was not a good choice. Maybe this. No, I got to keep that. I keep that geometry there. Maybe I can just this one. Yeah. And I think think I need all of that geometry there for this optics system. I mean, it depends on what configuration you're launching it in. If you were taking half fuel and an air-to-air loadout, I'd say that'd be easily VTOL. You might have to do a short takeoff though if you are loading heavier things on it. Okay, down to 10.3 thousand triangles, almost there. Almost down to under 10, which is where I want it before proceeding. There's a few things that I won't bother finishing today. Like I'm just going to focus on the main fuselage, like the bit surrounding the engine with the nozzles, because that's what I'm trying to implement in today's stream. And I don't really need to see what anything else is doing. .2. Alright, we are down below 10,000 polygons. So that's much better numbers there. Pretty happy with that. Oh, and look, I didn't even think about all this geometry in here. So if I was to select, say, everything with the material whole and split that off, now we're down in like 8.7 territory. .6. Help, I can't stop. This is going to look like a PS1 model if I keep going. Yes, line go up, number go down. Now, I might have gone too far here, because this isn't really circular anymore, but I can fix that manually, pretty sure. There we go. Okay, so now that I'm fairly happy with the polygon count here. Fairly happy. I can start splitting off the bit I want to work on. I said fairly happy, but this I'm not happy with. Okay, I think that's fixed the shading. Right. So in the coal mesh, which is the different physics parts, I'm informed by the coal mesh that the main central part of the plane starts here. Oh, excuse me. And finishes here. No, this doesn't have any CFTs. The brakes are for physics flexibility, because each aircraft is composed of a bunch of physics objects in a formation, and they need essentially like expansion joints due to the forces. Okay, so I'll start by splitting it off here. Probably won't be going over payloads because it doesn't even have pylons yet, let alone payloads. The gaps are 5 centimeters. And unfortunately, I have not drawn the gap yet. I will do that first. Let's go back to my design collection. And I'm going to draw where I'll put this seam. Thank you, Celery Stick, for the subscription. Much appreciated. Now, I'm just drawing these shapes here to indicate where to make the cut before I actually do it, because that's kind of a destructive action. There's no going back from that unless you want to restore a previously saved version of the model. And I like to make the cuts a bit, I like to make the shapes interesting, so just making them completely straight is a little bit boring. I like to give them some jagged edges visually. Doesn't matter if they don't 100% align with the collision model, that's fine. No, the Chimera doesn't change any plans for anything. It doesn't particularly look like the design for the cargo plane, and it's in a completely different size class. So it doesn't really affect things. Unfortunately, I think a rank 2 helicopter would become the new cricket funk. I don't see how that would be a refreshing change. Yes, the cargo plane is significantly larger. It would be by far the biggest plane in the game and require a new hangar to fit it. Okay, now for the rear of the central part. Let's go coal mesh, so I remember where this is, back here. In that corner. Yep, definitely we'll have some logistics expansion for the cargo aircraft. It will need it. Hey, YoRX. Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for joining me stream. It's nice to be streaming again. It's been like well over a month since I last streamed. The cargo aircraft will probably carry we'll have a different engineering vehicle in game by then. like a full-size engineering vehicle. So it'll probably be able to carry multiple of those. No need for jackknives. Can't really say anything about revisions to auto tilt on the Tarantula unless you give specifics. The Tarantula has an auto tilt, it is flyable with it. You may find it easier to control it manually. Up to you. Yep, I do have an early concept design in Blender for the cargo plane, but I won't be showing it quite yet because I don't like to lock things in that early, and people expect a locked-in design if I show it. No internal bays, no. First jet without internal bays, I think. Is that right? Prop fans are kind of a hybrid thing. I don't think it's fair to call them a jet with no further explanation. How does the VTOL digest chicanes without the internals? Yeah, I expect this to be able to carry GPONs externally. That'd be fun. The nuclear censorship hypothesis was in fact a myth. It's just a coincidence. It doesn't exist in actuality. You know, the nuclear censorship hypothesis, the idea that nukes must be hidden inside internal bays. I would say the next map is categorically a graphical improvement. And well, I'm hoping to port some textures that I've created for it over to the existing maps as well. Yep, it has air brakes here. I think that should be fine because although this is a little bit in front of the center of pressure, it is overall a stable design. So it shouldn't matter too much. And even if it does make it unstable, fly-by-wire should be able to catch it. Yeah, there should be a little bit of Revoker lineage in this design. Revoker heritage. Thank you, DUCNLE 2006 for the subscription. Dukenle. Problem with posting on the dev blog is people get really salty if you change anything that you mention on the dev blog. So you're kind of committing, it's like a promise that this will be as you describe it once it's in the game. Well, some people think of it that way anyway. It shouldn't be, but that's just the way that people on the internet expect things to go. This is not exactly supersonic, although it might be able to break Mach in some situations. It's a bit faster than the compass. Yeah, you could say it's transonic. It's an apt description. Okay, how close am I to finishing the... Yeah, I might have to do the, what's this part? Fuselage rear. I don't know. I was thinking about AGM 48s. It might be able to, maybe 2 per pylon. So it could perhaps carry 8 AGM 48s still, which would be competitive with the compass, but not quite as good. Not quite as many. I don't know about 3 on the inner pylons. We'll see how it looks. Thank you, Connor Fluffy, for the subscription. Thanks also for having a pronounceable name. I'm just kidding. It's alright, I'm not passing judgment. Like, I consider myself pretty literate, but when someone subscribes on Twitch, I lose my ability to pronounce things. I'm like, what am I looking at? What am I reading? It's like I just get dyslexia all of a sudden. Yeah. Now, I need to put flare ejectors somewhere in this vicinity. I need to remember to do that. I don't have cats. You might be mistaking me with someone else. I have birds. And there is an airbase in the game that is named after Opal, one of my birds. I don't know if I like this little deviation. It's a bit fussy. Let's continue that straight, like that. Aviation deviation. I like it. Are we done here? So I've got, yeah, maybe. So I want to put this central part. I want to put the nice looking model of this in the game, so I can start tuning the ducts. But I also want some surrounding parts in, or else they might obscure what's going on or distract with extreme ugliness. This is not particularly a stealthy plane, so I think I think curved panel gaps are okay, although I don't like the look of that. It doesn't acknowledge the presence of the bump. And that doesn't really either. Just let me try again. Okay, almost there. And I need a break between these two parts. Okay. So we've got forward wing root, rear wing root, main fuselage, rear fuselage, intake. Okay, the front of the intake isn't split yet. Do I integrate a tensor of inertia data into the flight model of the rigid body's mass? Suffice to create, yeah, the rigid bodies, they handle tensor of inertia and collisions and all that stuff. So don't have to deal with it at all. The only time you have to worry about tensor of inertia is if you're applying forces to something that is like synced in multiplayer, or torque specifically. So that only applies to ships because we use forces to synchronize ship positions in multiplayer. That's because any jittering whatsoever on a ship is completely unacceptable because you might be trying to taxi on or take off on an aircraft carrier, and it would just it would explode you if that happened. Right, so everything inside this panel will be on the intake part, which is kind of interesting because that means the intake part will also host the it will also host the cold air front swivel duct, the cold air exhaust. But that's okay. That's just a physics convenience. And then we have a separate part for the main nozzle, which is this here. Look, yeah, I'm not an avionics expert, but there's definitely some sort of electronics related to, related to either countermeasures or missile warning inside that housing. The main nozzle does this. The little deflector thing is an Airstream controller to prevent turbulence. This design is actually based on a real patent drawing, so it's not just idle speculation. Kind of wondering about... So this panel gap in front of the bulge here is curved, but angular here. I might make them both angular. Could look cool and more consistent. Bevels are the opposite of angles, though. Bevels make angles smoother. But I agree, I like both angles and bevels. It's like yin and yang, you need both of them. Yeah, it only gets 20mm rotary gun pod. That's part of what makes it more air-to-air focused. It's 20mm rotary is a great gun for air-to-air, but it does struggle a bit with ground armor. No internal gun, this is a trainer after all. I might just take the opportunity to slightly tweak the shape of these air brakes. Sorry to disappoint, they are not in fact cat ears. Okay, well with that done, I'm going to move it over to visible. And start cutting out these pieces. modify it slightly where I think it works better if I follow the existing geometry. Yeah, John Bloor, so everyone, John Bloor is the artist who's done our merch, and he's incorporated some design tweaks that we would like to implement on the Revoker when we get around to doing a remaster on that. So that's pretty exciting, and I'm looking forward to making the Revoker look a bit meaner and a bit cooler. In the meantime, you can always buy the merch over at our store, which you'll see come up in the chat periodically. You'll see a link to that. Okay, how are we doing? That is pretty much the perimeter of the areas that I'm interested in exporting today. That's a bit ugly, but I'll fix it in a minute. Actually, I'll fix it right now. Okay. Those edges are a bit better aligned now. End goal to complete for stream today is to have this aircraft VTOLing. In order to have it VTOL, I need to first upgrade the in-game visuals from that to this. And to do that, I need to split the high detail model into separate parts. But that's almost done. Almost done. I'm just marking seams here in Blender because seams allow you to select, like you can press L and select everything inside a seam. Very convenient. changing my mind slightly in a couple of these places. Haven't exactly followed my plans. Sometimes when you get down to the nuts and bolts, individual vertices, you realise you got to make slight changes. Will this thing fly? It actually does fly already. So at the beginning of the stream I flew it around for a bit. It's just a conventional plane right now. It doesn't have any VTOL capabilities. Yeah, the new team members are helping out with some of our more technical challenges, and that involves a lot of programming. But some of it does pertain to aircraft, so Nikarap, it has been working on tools for helping us tune aircraft, and that's just going to speed up the creation process a little bit. Yep, all of the 3 new devs that have joined our team have been involved in modding the game in the past, various capacities. So it's pretty exciting to be working with modders. I think it's a good way to expand a team. Okay, we've got some holes here. Yes. Oh, I need to cut holes for the landing gear doors as well. Forgot about that. Okay, mark seam, that means I can select everything inside there easily. The nozzles have quite a bit of separation from the gear. And the front nozzles are cold air anyway, so you're not going to be melting the gear with it. So the gear might present a temporary minor obstruction to the airflow, but I think it'll be a pretty small, yeah, a pretty minor thing to deal with. In reality, they'd probably just have some sort of procedure like gear is only allowed to be operated in certain nozzle conditions. Yeah, in reality, you'd have procedures for dealing with this sort of thing. But nuclear option despises procedures. It doesn't despise them, it just doesn't have them. Choose to not include procedures in nuclear option. You can use procedures if you want. You just have to come up with them yourselves. Okay, that's why. Mark that as a seam. I'm still missing something here. Okay, so we've got the 3 geared doors all isolated. Perfect. Alright, almost there. Just have to... make the wing fully separated now. So we have to cut out around the flap and then follow this line. There's Alfie the Finch singing in the background, in case anyone's wondering. Probably not going to have new weapons with this plane. We just had a stack of new weapons in the last update. We usually wait a bit between introducing new weapons. We do sort of like packs of weapons, I suppose. Weapon packs. Weapon-focused updates. Okay, still haven't isolated that wing properly. Why not? Alright, I'll move these reference lines back to the design layer. Now I'll have a close look, see. Okay, so that needs to be a seam, I guess. There we go. Any advice for a novice dev making a flight sim like in Unity? I don't know. Sounds like you might be a bit of a competitor. No, just treat it like a science experiment. I think it's going to mostly be about learning. Yeah, watch out. We're going to have Fission Decision is going to be released as a competitor. Yeah, trainers often double as low-cost fighters, or they're often sold especially to countries that don't have their own options. Basically, there's a gap between, on the BDF side, there's a big gap between before the Vortex, or before the Revoker. There's a big gap between yeah, well, there's not really anything, I guess. There's a cricket. And the next thing up in the air-to-air role is Vortex, and that's too big of a gap to have. And now that Compass has been assigned to Parlor, we need something to compete in that sort of price range. Yeah, the splitting of aircraft is already happening gradually, especially with carriers. That's where you'll notice it right now. It honestly depends what you want to do. Like, if you're doing a pure air-to-ground mission, a Compass is probably a better choice. But BDF has the Brawler already, so they don't really need to focus air-to-ground. They need an air-to-air. Need something with an air-to-air role for early in the game. Oh, what's happened here? Have I've forgotten something. Yeah, there's supposed to be a cut from here. There we go, that's what I was missing. One, two. Oh, okay, missing a cut up here. Alright. There's... I think that referring to the Compass and this aircraft as multi-roles is a bit misleading, because multi-role usually describes a proper fighter, a full-fledged fighter. Neither the Compass nor this are full-fledged fighters. Okay, so forward wing route. rear wing root intake area. I think everything is properly split now, so all that remains is to press P to separate selection. So there we've got the first high detail part. Wing root front, and I'll just be removing the mirror modifier. Wing root rear. I won't probably name these yet. I'll just keep them merged, the gear doors. And then finally there's the rear fuselage. Oh, not finally. There's one more. Rear fuselage and the main nozzle. This will probably be a single laser designator aircraft as well, like the compass. I don't see any reason for it to have more laser designation ability than the compass does. If the compass is struggling, it could get 2, I suppose, but I don't really see people asking to buff the compass. The compass is one of the most popular aircraft in the game, so I think that's alright. It's in a good place right now. Okay, got to start naming these things. This is VTOL Trainer 1 nozzle front left. Intake L. Wing root front left. Rear left. Fuselage. Fuselage rear. I'll just call this gear doors temporarily, because I don't want there to be a big hole. I need a mesh to patch that with. And I'll just make the origin the same. Oh, I've got to set all these origin points. It'd be nice to add air brakes today as well, if I get time. How are we doing? nearly 9 o'clock. That means I have a little over 2 hours left before I have to be done. Can't really have any lights on the wingtips because there are missiles covering them up. So nav lights are going to be on these intakes instead. Yep, like the Revoker, this will have wingtip pylons. Get rid of mirror, and this can be... Okay, got to start centering these parts. So object set origin to the center of the existing collision mesh. Okay, with these parts centered. Oh, that one's not done yet. Oh, crucially, I need to bring these over as well. These are the rotating parts of the rear nozzle. Called nozzle main. So we've got lower and upper nozzle parts. Okay, all of the non-central parts get mirrored over to the other side. So cursor to world origin, and then mirror them, apply the scale, and flip normals. And now I just need to rename them. Okay. That looks like a nothing object, an object that's its geometry deleted, so goodbye. Okay, time to export and start putting this in the game. So export this as FBX to VTOL Trainer 1. Okay, now's the fun part. Hey, welcome LXGeon TTV. Thanks for the kind words. Really glad to see people enjoying the game. So, mesh renderer here will replace... There we go. Look how pretty that is. How smooth. And this one especially is going to be nice, I think. I'm just going to make a new object here to fill that gap where the landing gear doors would be. Gear doors L. Mesh filter will be VTOL Trainer 1. Gear doors L. Wing root RL. Mesh renderer. Oh, that's not aligned. Why is that not aligned? Is it because... oh, okay, center point is wrong. So object set origin to 3D cursor. Object set origin to 3D cursor, and then I'll do a re-export. There it goes. That plug is correct. And now I replace this wing root with the pretty one. And paste in the gear door plug. And I also just want to put in air brakes. Air brake L and R. So paste as child. This will be air brake L. Air brake L, and copy that to the right side and use the right mesh. Shiny stuff looks a bit funny here. Might just swap them around. Gear position doesn't matter on a VTOL. And it can take off just fine in my testing. Center of mass is like just in front of the gear anyway, maybe like half a meter. I want to stop it from tipping over backwards if you touch down in if you do a vertical touchdown in a sloppy manner. A gear that was really unstable to force players to do proper taxiing. That's basically just the compass. Okay, let's do a new empty, which is nozzle L, mesh filter, VTOL trainer 1 nozzle. I'm trying not to answer random questions about the game. It's a bit too distracting. Oh, that's a funny orientation. Should fix that. So we'll apply rotation, apply scale, and it looks like it has some animation, which I'll just go and delete. Clear. Don't want to be exporting animation. And I forgot to make a right-hand one. Yep. Oh, maybe I didn't forget, it just got animated. Yay, okay. So correct position for this is something that Blender can tell me, and that is X position of 0.7 something, Y, which turns into Z of 1.2, and then Z, which turns into Y of that number. So that is where our nozzle needs to be. Isn't Blender coordinates the same as Unreal coordinates? Thank you for the subscription, Super61. See, I think that the Unity way of doing it is weird, because Unity is designed around like side-scrolling platformers, which means X and Y is up and forwards, or up and sideways, or sideways and up respectively. X is sideways and Y is up. But so Blender is more oriented around like maps where X and Y are the like you're looking down, so the first two coordinates are forward or sideways and forward, and then the third coordinate is for depth or like vertical. That makes sense to me. Thanks to everyone who's subscribing, really appreciate the support. I don't do these streams very often. But yeah, it does help to raise a little bit of support for the game and a little bit of awareness as well. Okay, so those are the nozzles, and I think that the nozzles are attached to the intake physics part. Intake L and intake R. That's just so that we can damage nozzles separately, like side to side. If I had them both attached to the central part, then we wouldn't be able to do that. Okay, nozzle main.L. So lower. So this is VTOL trainer 1 nozzle main L. Oh, this has animation as well. Bummer. Okay. So we go clear animation data, clear animation data. And then export, re-export that. Still has the wrong rotation, so I might have to apply rotation and scale in Blender and re-export. Okay. Yep. Looking good. So I'll just use matte black for this material. And for the position, copy that one from Blender. That looks to be... Is that correct? It is correct. It does go over the top a bit. So now I need to do the upper part of the nozzle. And that actually has the same... Yeah, they both have the same position because they pivot from the same... Yeah, that doesn't matter. I'm not really ready to finish the model yet, so this is... It's just getting things in place for a visual indication. Since the dev team has doubled in size, that's not really going to affect the rate of content. It's going to mean that we can continue to make the game bigger while keeping our technical debt under control. So more programmers working behind the scenes mean that we can means that we're going to see better stability, performance, just like the structure of the game. It's more about keeping some of the hidden things that you don't see as a player under control. It becomes exponentially more difficult to grow a game as it progresses and becomes more complex, so you need some expertise to make that happen. Alright, I'm going to give this a quick fly again, just to make sure I haven't broken anything. And then if nothing's broken, let's see if it can do a VTOL. The landing gear placement and folding animation is wrong right now. I need to update it to what it is in Blender. But it seems to be working as before. So now to the interesting part. We have a script to add, and that is ducted thrust system. Oh, and we need to add some more nozzles too. Okay, I need to remember, how does the Medusa do this? So for the Medusa we have jet nozzle, ducted thrust system. Turbojets. Ah, okay, there might be some, okay, code changes needed. It looks like ducted thrust system only supports turbojets, whereas we're phasing this out and replacing it with turbofans, which is a more intricate version. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of this. And then I'm going to edit the script. Turbojets. Maybe I'll just support both right now. And we can remove this once turbojet is deprecated. That might be all that's needed. Yeah. Okay. Well, perhaps not as painful as I was expecting. That was a robo vacuum emptying itself. Okay, if we go back to VTOL Trainer 1. Ducted thrust system. Thrust at airspeed. I'm just going to make this constant right now. Aircraft is this one. Oh, there goes the vacuum again. Nozzles. Need to add more nozzles. So we've got nozzle main. Copy that to the other two. Paste component as new. I've got to go back to Medusa. This needs a thrust transform. And so does this one. Thrust transform is that. This doesn't have any heat haze because it's cold air from the front. Thrust audio. I gotta go get some audio sources. Paste component as new. We'll just use the Medusa thrust audio for now and tune that later. Glad you enjoy the streams, Fer de Lance enjoyer. And yeah, welcome to chat. First message. Okay, back to ducted thrust system. I'm assigning nozzles. There should be 3 now. We've got front left, front right, and main. Swivel rate, it's 40 degrees on the Medusa. Intake doors, we don't have any yet. Turbo fans, we need to add that one that we have. Nozzles, 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 okay. So this is a, yeah, this is a jet nozzle. I think that means we can't have jet nozzles, oh boy, on, okay, nozzle main U. I need to put this in, parent it to the nozzle main part. And then thrust transform is under nozzle main. So I think I need to copy or cut and paste jet nozzle. So copy component, remove, and paste it over to this part that actually swivels. Yep. And then thrust transform should still be there. And that probably means I've broken the links. I've broken the references in Ducted thrust system, missing jet nozzle. It's now this one. Nozzle main U. All right, let's hope this works. There's probably something's going to break, I'm sure. Give it a try anyway. I don't have any indicator right now. Okay, something's broken. Turbofan 337. Ah, okay. So we don't have any nozzles directly assigned to the engine, but that's because it's running through the ducted thrust system. And I need to do the same thing in VTOL trainer. Which means for engine, I need to remove any assigned nozzles. And try this again. Whoa. Okay. We've got an NAN for ducted thrust system nozzle.thrust. Input force is NAN. Ah, and that would be because we don't have any. Okay. If alright, we don't want to be doing a divide by zero. Turns out that's not great. Okay, so far no luck on getting this to move. And also no thrust. Which is interesting because it says there's thrust, but it's just not being applied. I'll work out why that is. Thrust at airspeed, is that actually, how does that work on the Medusa? I don't remember what the units are. Oh, okay, so we actually need to set it to physical newtons. That would be why we weren't getting any thrust. Thrust at airspeed. So we'll set this to 100,000 and make it constant. And the nozzles weren't pivoting. Oh, this is the swivel. Okay, we need to set the swivel up in the nozzles themselves. So angle max, angle min. I need to copy that over from Medusa. No, EW1. I'll just take a screenshot of this for reference. So for angle min, or angle max, we have minus 120 for the Medusa. I think we're only going to do minus 110 for these ones. Oh wait, no, it's 0 and minus 110, because 110 is less than 0. Minus 110 is less than 0. Thrust max volume. 7. I'll make this kind of hot, I think. Thrust proportion. I'll just copy values from the Medusa and we can tune it afterwards. Swivel speed is 40. Pitch thrust is minus 2. That's the amount of bias it has for pitching input. Roll thrust is 0.5, and yaw swivel will make that 1. And then I need to give some different values to this rear one. Thrust proportion, I think I'll use the same 0.58. Swivel speed, 40. Pitch thrust, 2. Roll thrust is irrelevant. We don't care about that. And yaw swivel, we also don't have any of that going on. Angle max, minus 100, and angle min, wait, no, minus 100, and angle max is 0. Okay, let's see if this gets us VTOLing. might be rotating a bit. Actually, that kind of just barely... Yeah, that's fine. There's no issues there. The back one does rotate too far. I need to tweak that. Alright, I'm a bit scared to take off. This is probably going to be a fatal accident. Okay, we've definitely got a bit too much rear bias going on right now. Thrust proportion 0.58. I might just get rid of the pitch thrust on all of these. Because I'm not sure if that's the culprit. Okay, still something very off with the amount of thrust here. Yeah. I kind of thought it would be the other way around because the center of mass is between the two nozzles. Are the front ones producing thrust? Good question. I thought that they would be. It's kind of hard to tell whether they're producing thrust because you can't see the heat blur. I'll set the thrust proportion to 0 and we can see if any thrust is coming out of the front ones. Yeah, something's weird here. The nose might be a bit strong. I haven't tweaked the structure of this yet. It does look like all the thrust's on the rear nozzle, but I'm not sure why, because I've turned the thrust proportion all the way down. Oh, it's applying it to the wrong part, maybe? Okay, I think that would be why. Let me check in jet nozzle how that is applied. Add force at position. So the part for this should be intake L, and the part for this should be intake R. I mean, if this just fixed it, it'll probably flip over backwards now. Yep. Okay, I think we've solved the problem. It just needs tuning now. So I'm just going to set the baseline for thrust proportioning the same for all of these. And then I might need to reduce the front ones a bit more, but we'll just see. We'll try it at 1 and then measure the results. Yeah, front's still a bit strong, which kind of makes sense. Because each of the front nozzles should not be as strong as the rear. I'll try to get an even split. So that means the thrust proportion should be 0.5 for the fronts and 1 for the rear. Okay. That was quite good. Now we don't have any pitch control. It was a little bit front biased still, so I might put the front nozzles down to 0.4 instead of 0.5. thrust proportioning, thrust proportion, put this down to 0.4. And then back to pitch thrust. I think this was 2 on the front and -2 on the rear on the Medusa. So that's just how much does it vary the proportion depending on pitch input. Oop. Okay. I didn't quite see what happened there. I'll try again. I was having some trouble understanding what was going on. Kind of looks like, yeah, maybe I think I linked it up backwards. So maybe the rear one needs to be positive pitch thrust proportion and the front one negative. That's a very very weird question. Hair routine. I don't really have one. I guess I shampoo it every few days, and that's about it. Yeah, I hooked it up backwards. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Okay, we have no roll control, it seems. Well, lots of pitch control. The pitch control is actually quite strong. I might tone that down. It's probably able to vary its pitch a bit too much. Vary the front and back bias. Oh, okay. So the yours is not working correctly. I need to reverse the yaw on the right-hand one. Yaw swivel, I'll make that one -1, and this one is +1. And roll thrust 0.5, -0.5. This is just a 50-50. I have no idea whether that roll is going to be hooked up backwards now. I'll probably give this wingtip bleed edge jets. Okay, looks like the rollers... I think the roller's hooked up properly. Just slow it down a bit. Okay, we've got 3-axis control here. Okay, dare I give it a bit of forward thrust? And we're flying, okay. It's pretty noisy now. It's a bit louder than it was before. I guess three nozzles will do that for you. Now, I don't have a nozzle angle indicator, so I have to kind of eyeball this from the outside. And there's no auto hover yet. There will be. Cool. All right. Well, it's as promised. I got VTOL working, and pretty much just a matter of tuning now. One thing I did notice is that the pitch response feels way too strong, so I'll halve that, and I might need to reduce it even more. Yeah, it has the same code as the Medusa that governs its ducted thrust system. Yeah, I think we only destroyed 2 airframes as well. Pretty good results. It does have an ejection seat, yeah. It just doesn't have a canopy, so the pilot kind of phases through this low poly mesh. Okay, well, to wrap up, does anyone want to see the next map that's coming in 0.35, which is not the next update? But I've been doing a bit of work on the next map. I can't, unfortunately, fly this plane on the next map because they're on different branches in our version control. But I do have a build of the game that I prepared earlier. Let's go. So I'll give a little tour of the map first. Here we start out in the snowy centre in the mountain range, but we've got, here are some various features. I've got a number of air bases in the map now. So broadly speaking, it's PDF in the north, Parla in the south. There is a bit more Parla presence towards the east as well. There is a massive amount of desert towards the southern end of the map, and it's not exactly hospitable in the north either. So it's kind of like a cold northern coastline in the north and a still cold dry desert in the south. So here's one of BDF's high altitude air bases, relatively high alt anyway. It's at 1700 meters altitude, which is about the highest mountain in Heartland. And here's another BDF airbase. This one has some underground spawn points. And another snowy BDF airbase. So this airbase is, hold on, 1,250 meters altitude, so not quite as high. There's this airbase over here. It's a Parla. I think I'll call this one like Badlands or something. It's kind of very rugged terrain over here. And this is sort of up on a moderate altitude plateau. Another Parla airbase, slightly higher in the mountains. What else do we have? We've got this eastern desert. So that's a Parla airbase over here. And yeah, this map will come out at the same time as the cargo plane. And then the main Parla city has this combined civilian and military airbase. And yeah, obviously this will get buildings and stuff. Very early days for this map. This airport is at an elevation of about 600 meters. Yeah, so there'll be more settlements and stuff around. I think this is going to be like I think there might be a space observatory out here. I'm thinking of suspending a large dish, like radio telescope with two two sides of it being supported by this plateau. There's another airbase in the mountains. Over here, still working on this one. It has a bit of ugly geometry going on up there. Don't worry about that. This one has also some hidden or concealed underground spawns. Should be pretty resistant to anything short of an auger. And I think that's all the air bases currently in there. Oh, there's a far up in the mountains. I'm putting several of these, or actually many of these, around a place to try to keep helicopters relevant. So there'll be a lot more of these small farps between air bases. Yeah, so as an example, if I was to join BDF, I could start out at Mountain Farp. Oh, thanks for the subscription, Ben Bleed. Appreciate it. So spawn preview is a bit of a dodgy place. This is not very high altitude here. I'm at 890 meters, so yeah, no issue at all for the chicane. So this is where I took off from, and this is the nearest Parla airbase, about 15 kilometers away. Alright, so we're just about in range. I'm going to chuck an eyeball over here just to yep, there we go, detect those extra units. And there's a laser air defense system, which is going to be pretty high priority. Okay, that was a bad idea. I don't know why. I thought they were a bit closer than that. Alright, I'm gonna have to be smarter. Okay. I think the strat here is sneak up on the spag, because that's the only thing that can actually kill me. As long as I'm flaring long enough for the IR to get out of sight. So pre-flare, pre-flare. There we go. So my hope is that this map will be able to keep helicopters relevant by being able to spawn at FARPs. So I don't know why the FARP is not showing up as the nearest airbase. That might be something I need to take a look at. But I can actually land back where I took off, which is only 14 kilometers away. So in this case, friendly fixed wings would be flying from this airbase and rotaries from the FARP. So after I get back, I'll do a sortie in another aircraft. Yeah, I'm trying to place the FARPs in locations where they're a bit more sheltered, so valleys. And you'd need to do a bit of scouting, I think, to be able to get target lock on them. Yeah, establishing additional FARPs would be nice. There are some technical challenges that come with that. And one of the main ones is just finding a flat piece of land. So here we are, just over this crest. This is our home base. Probably would be worth tweaking the helipads a bit. They are easy to kill right now, which doesn't help. Doesn't help helicopters. There we go. So I can actually fly sometimes. All right, now for something else. I'm gonna go, let's try to do some vortex. Yeah, vortex action. AGM 68. Yeah, we actually are always adding anti-cheat, and it's just a matter of finding the latest thing that people are doing and patching that out. I don't think the game is ever going to have server authoritative motion for players, just because that would be that'd pretty much ruin the game. It needs to feel responsive and nice. You need to be simulating the aircraft on your own computer. But yeah, we're always looking at we've always got internal discussions going on about how to improve security. It's pretty annoying. Like you got to be a pretty low character to be cheating in a mostly PVE indie game. Just go all 68s maybe. There's no enemy aircraft on this scenario, so I might just have 80 LRs for the... Yeah, this will do. It's probably enough to take out an airbase. Yeah, the tunnels are actually scenery objects to play around with. Yep, augers can now, in this build, penetrate terrain. I could show you if I had augers on... if I had augers mounted. Maybe I'll do that afterwards. I'm not sure if the tunnels will be destructible yet, because that could make pretty annoying situations where like if you destroy this tunnel without destroying the spawn point, that'd be kind of annoying. So water that is very work in progress. I haven't applied physics to this water. It's above sea level, so it doesn't it's just kind of placeholder at the moment. But we're going to have various different water levels, including rivers. Yeah, the tricky... I mean, obviously, you can say that. The tricky thing is implementing, like, linking destruction together of different units without causing spaghetti code. Alright, we're getting picked up by radars now. Finally, we break Mark 1. Just took a while. Okay, there's the airbase. I'm going to get down low before we get fired on. Okay. I'm going to try and sneak past this airbase and attack something a bit deeper. Oh, I overcooked that turn. I have to get out of the out of the canyon to make it. All right, up ahead there is, there we go, radar 16 kilometers, and I think that's a SAM site. I think that's an R9 launcher. But there's a bolt strike a bit closer, so I might prioritize that one. Hope he doesn't spot me first. Oh, okay, that's an incoming. Right, we dip below the plateau. This site's only really useful for high altitude defense because if I get low enough, I can sneak under it like this. Oh, just missed. Okay. I think there's a C-ram up there. Oh. Okay, I got shot in the face. I should have gone for the C-ram. I thought the munitions truck was going to get hit, but I must have targeted the wrong thing. Well, there's always this airbase, which is a bit closer. Always finish them off with a the compass. I haven't added the main BDF airbase to this map. In fact, there's not really going to be a main airbase for any of the factions. There's going to be multiple. Yeah, I'll do augurs, but I don't want to go and... after a failed mission like that, I don't want to go and drop bombs on my own faction. It's just depressing. So it might look like this map is nearly done, but it's pretty much just started. It's not. It's going to need several more months of work. That's why we're putting it in 0.35. All of the different air bases and points of interest are going to take a lot of work to get done. And I think, yeah, timing it with a number of other changes to logistics is going to work well. So this will be coming with the cargo plane. No, I cannot say what's changing with logistics. We haven't even decided that yet. It's not for the next updates, for the one after. Yeah, the textures are all procedurally generated, and I'll be designing like a curated set of buildings to match those tiling textures. So that should make city creation a lot faster. This is default cloud height, by the way. The mountains are, some of the mountains are up above the clouds. Okay, so that's that Stratolance site I took out earlier. Or tried to take out. I'll have to go and finish it off. Most of the development is going to be roads, settlements, and air bases from now on this map. I think the terrain is looking fairly good, although it's going to get tweaks as well. But from now on, we need to make it look lived in. There's the burning remains of my vortex from last sortie. Oh, that was a Stratolance. I didn't even get a warning for that. I'll try to stay out of sight of this pulse. Nope, fail. He's fired at me. I can see that launch visually. There we go. I break line of sight every now and then. Just in time. I don't think this airbase is defended right now. Oh yeah, I didn't put anything there. But there is another Stratolance site over here, so I gotta go and sneak up on it somehow. Not much left of that. Okay, well, I guess time for, what's the nearest airbase? Go back and land at this one, I suppose, if I've got enough fuel. If your screen turns red, it means your pilot has been hurt. It's not necessarily very much. It could be a very minor injury. Yep, I can land back at the high airbase and do a loaded helicopter stress test. Pilot getting hurt reduces the pilot's hit points. If the pilot has 0 hit points, you die. So, for example, any impact that imparts over 20 Gs of acceleration will hurt the pilot. Should I try killing the CRAM? Play chicken with a CRAM? That was very scary, and I took it. I got fragged by a near miss. Must. Oh no. Okay, the rear seater died.
Hello B67 Michael, any updates on the Palapane Pyramid?
The Palapane Pyramid. Yeah, TVC. I'm not going to talk about them today. Actually, not sure. I'm guessing what happened was a bullet went directly into the rear seater's head, and I got some and my pilot got some shrapnel from it, but didn't really damage anything else in the plane. Might have been a single bullet that hit him. Alright, 8% fuel and 50 kilometers away. Oh, great. Okay. We should be able to outrun that. I think I'm cooked. I don't know. If I gain altitude, I might be able to glide it in. As long as that bolt strike doesn't fire at me. See how fast I can climb, and then convert that into I think full throttle is not less efficient than yeah. As long as you don't have afterburner, full throttle is probably your best bet here. Okay, we're 30 kilometers out, 3% fuel, 5 kilometers up. There's no external ordnance left, so I don't think that matters. Extra weight isn't going to hurt me, it'll just make me glide faster. I think we're fine. I'll level it off. There's not going to be any issue here. Okay, that's fuel gone, so we're just a glider now. No, I wasn't supersonic. I hit Mach 0.99. Okay. Might use a bit of air brake now. Air brake plus steep approach angle is probably the safe way to do a glide landing, because there's no option for a go around. Came in a bit fast there. But made it. I roll into a revetment. Perfect. Okay, so helicopter with hexhounds. Is that really not even max 15.17 out of 15.5? How do we make this thing heavier? Probably kingpins, right? Yeah, that'll do it. All right, so max takeoff weight at high altitude. Well, it's not exactly. It's 1,700 meters. It's not that high, but it's going to be noticeably different. So I'm able to lift off, but we are stuck in ground effect. So I have the collective maxed out right now. But yeah, we're not getting out of ground effect. But yeah, rolling takeoff might do it. Oh, no, hang on now. The forward I actually don't want the forward thrust to do its thing. Can I? Yeah, let's turn that off. Okay, I think that we're out of ground effect and doing all right. We've managed to climb a bit higher than the starting altitude, so we're up to 1,730 meters now. Yeah, it's still not very fun to fly at maximum weight, but I did have to try to get this much weight in the loadout. I said I was going to drop some augers. Yeah, I'm thinking. I think an escalation-like mode on this map with a bit more spread out. Yeah, I think that'd work pretty well. Okay, auger. And right now we have 3 underground hangars sharing the same tunnel. We've got small, medium, and small. Well, I mean, this isn't a BDF aircraft anyway, is it? So the ground penetration performance does depend on velocity, and I think it maxes out at about Mach 1, so you'll get the best ground penetration around Mach 1. Alright, I'll just eject so we can watch this. Oh, is it going to hit the road? Oh no, it got through. So we got him. Actually, only one of them worked. I think the others might not have been going fast enough to make the penetration. I'll do this again with a vortex. Bomb kinetic energy is not really significant compared to the explosives. Even in something like a pile driver, which is potentially hypersonic on impact, the kinetic energy is about 1/4 of the total explosion. Yep, this will work for anything, even if it's clipped underground, it'll work. Try to get this small underground hangar. Over away. There we go. Dead. And this one I might just try and get some rounds in through the opening. This is going to be tricky because these AGMs want to loft a bit. Nah. Negative. Impacted on the surface. Didn't go in. I wonder if the PAB 80LRs would do the trick. Yeah. Oh, overshot, overshot. I don't think those had time to arm, actually. Well, I'll use my last auger. You can definitely shoot like kingpins or something into the entrance and blow it up. I just don't have any. There's an arming time. I think it's about 4 seconds. So yeah, that's how you get underground stuff right now. You just have to. It's a bit, well, it's a lot harder than unprotected things. And the other thing is that you need to. Another thing is that you need to like discover. You need to detect. Whoa! What happened to my controller? I've lost my controller. Okay. Yep. Controller disconnected. Nice. Yeah, so these ones are a bit different. They don't share it. They don't share tunnels, so it's just one hangar per tunnel, and they take a bit more effort to kill. So yeah, a lot of areas on the map that just have nothing at all right now. This one has a road. It's supposed to be here, but it's not been properly integrated yet. And yeah, many more roads. I like a lot of the map to look at this sort of density when it comes to roads. Yeah, just having like lots of spread out settlements would be really nice. Yeah, I'm going to be adding some like small villages, especially in valleys with helipads and stuff. Enrichment plants, need to design areas specifically for enrichment plants and other significant points of interest. Every airbase on the map is going to be connected by roads, often by multiple roads. Oh, there we go, another ambulance. What's going on? Yeah, every airbase is going to be connected. I haven't really added any of the northern ones yet, but there's going to be airbases dotted along the northern coast with roads connecting them. Rivers too. The rivers need a lot of work. I've started adding channels for rivers, but haven't. Most of it doesn't have water in it yet. It's gonna look a bit like this, I suppose. So large and complex rivers, basically. Got to get rid of the trees and the water, of course. Yeah, and of course you can park carriers off the coast if you want. The water is also not properly coloured yet. It's just using the watercolour is from Heartland, which is why it looks so strange here. Yeah, there's going to be big open areas on the coastline. Some of this will be cities, and some of it will be air bases, and other locations will just be like industrial zones where you can place factories or enrichment plants. There's lots of plateaus that'll have roads, like basically empty lots that you can use as a mission creator. So yeah, none of that northern coastline is in the game yet, but it will be. Still working on a lot of that design. Very early work in progress here, but there's going to be BDF settlements. BDF settlements are quite ambitious, let's say. They've got some mega structures going on. They'll have some cities connected by elevated roads and monorail. Let me see. Where are my textures gone? Oh, that's because I'm on the wrong branch. Yeah, sorry, no textures for you. No terrain textures for you. But yeah, there's gonna be a BDF combined military and civilian airstrips. Of course, a bunch of power generation facilities. And there's really not much else that I've done yet. So that's why this map's not coming for a little while yet. There's a lot of air bases to populate. I've just got placeholder objects here for various airstrips. Yeah, so that's about it. The edges of the map are going to be extended low detail meshes. So, I mean, even at the moment, like you don't really see. Like if you go to something near the edge of the map, the scale of the map means like it's not really that noticeable. So you're sort of looking in the distance anyway. But I'll extend that mesh. It'll continue, without much detail for like a couple dozen kilometers probably. Yep, this map is 4 times the area of Heartland. In fact, it has more than 4 times the land area of Heartland. This map actually has more snow area than Heartland has land area. Yeah, water is modified. We're modifying the water system to allow for higher altitude water features like dams and rivers. There's no hard boundary at the edge of the map, just like in Ignis or Heartland. You can just keep flying. So yeah, I think the distances are going to make AWAC's a lot more interesting. It could possibly make aerial refueling relevant. Like if in a revoker, I think it would be a struggle to take off from this airbase in a revoker and fly to the northwest and return without using up all your fuel. Yeah, it's like, do people only play with the default moon state at midday? Because the moon's, yeah, can confirm that is a moon. I'm surprised you haven't seen that before. All right, well, I think I'm going to wrap the stream up there. We've got a VTOLing VTOL, and if you missed that, you can always go back and look at the VOD after the stream finishes. But yeah, thanks for joining, everyone, and I'm really excited about all this new stuff. I think there's like a lot of this is going to be massive, going to make a massive difference to the game. So yeah, VTOL for 0.34, which is the next update. VTOL trainer, and this map in 0.35 along with the cargo aircraft. So that's the medium-term plan for the game, and beyond that I can't really make any promises. But yeah, as always, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and yeah, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.